Good evening. This is Jonathan Handel doing the Communication Theory term project for Communication 650, and I'm going to be doing it over the Leader Member Exchange Theory, or LMX. If I can get my PowerPoint to work. Come on. There we go. Leader Member Exchange, LMX, was developed in 1975. It's a little old, but it's completely relevant by Grain and Associates. They authored it. And it builds off of the relational approach to leadership. There are a couple different approaches to leadership, and they chose to focus on relational because this is most definitely pertinent to that. And the focus of LMX is on leadership, but specifically on the relationship between leaders and followers, or bosses and members of an organization, or what have you. So there's a couple main ideas to LMX. The first one is that there are several two-way relationships that exist between leaders and followers. You're going to have a different relationship with your boss than your coworker will, and the next coworker will have a different relationship than the previous two, and so on and so forth. And that leaders should try to approach each relationship objectively so that there isn't any favoritism, but anyone can tell you that that's not always going to be the case. The other main idea is that not all relationships are created equally, building off the first point. Liking is a term that represents when your boss or your leader likes you more than someone else, or vice versa, likes someone else more than you, for any number of reasons. Most likely is because of some perceived similarity between the leader and yourself. Maybe you went to the same undergraduate university, or you grew up in the same hometown, or you like the same toppings on your pizza, whatever. Anything that might make your leader think that you're a little more similar to him or her than the person sitting next to you will make them like you more. And that relationships as a whole, like as a group, so maybe in an office, will consist of an in-group and an out-group. The in-group being people that are more well-liked, and the out-group being, the opposite. And most importantly, which we've already sort of gone over, is that interactions will rely on the strength of the leader-member relationship. So walking into your boss's office to ask a question, that interaction will rely almost completely on how strong your relationship is with your supervisor. So the vertical dyad linkage model, VDL, is a model that exists within LMX. It was developed by Graham and Associates. And it demonstrates how leaders treat their followers. And dyad in vertical dyad linkage, dyad just means a relationship that exists of more than two parts. So until VDL was established, researchers believed that leaders use the same style with all members of their group, and that's obviously not the case. And this study sort of illuminated that on a much grander scale. So within VDL, members can offer differing descriptions of the same leader. So if I was to go into an office and ask one person what they thought of their leader, it would be a different answer than the next person would give me, which would be different than the next person would give me, and so on and so forth. And that can exist for large groups or for very small groups. Obviously, some members are going to report a much higher level of respect for their leader, while others will report that their relationship is strained. I'm sure if you went into your office or wherever you work and asked people what they thought of your boss, some people would say, oh, the boss is out to get me. They don't want me to succeed. I never get promoted. I never get raises. And some people will say, yeah, we have a great relationship. Whenever I ask a question, it's always received well. I would get introduced to the higher-ups when they come around, yada, yada, yada. And this is a characteristic that's descriptive of the in and out groups, which we'll get to here in just a second. So in-groups and out-groups are one of the major areas of LMX. Basically, two groups exist within any larger group, the in-group and the out-group. The in-group is seen as, inherently better than the out-group. So characteristics of the in-group include, but are not limited to, frequent exchange of information between members and leaders. So if you're in the in-group, your leader is going to give you more information more often, whether that be about upcoming layoffs or some big project that's coming through. They might give you some information that might give you a leg up over someone else because they want you to succeed more. Members will have a higher level of influence with their leaders. So if you want to change what the catered lunch is on Fridays, or if you want to change how the finance reports are done, or whatever it may be, you as a member of the in-group will have a better chance of seeing that happen because you're in the in-group. Members of the in-group also have more latitude. They can do more. They receive more support and attention, but more help on their projects, more answers to their questions, and they're more trusted by the leader. And they can make, riskier decisions with not as much repercussions if things go wrong. Overall, members of the in-group just have better access to resources and opportunities for growth within the organization. Now you might be thinking, that sounds pretty good. How do I get into the in-group? Well, it all comes down to essentially just being more likable, although there are some subjective and some objective characteristics of people in the in-group. First thing to do is to be more competent at what you do. That's probably the most changeable aspect of people in the in-group. So just get good at what you do. Practice makes perfect. If you have better results, that's going to look better on your boss to their boss, and therefore will be a faster track to the in-group. Be more likable. That's kind of hard to change sometimes based on what your boss sees as likable, and of course similarity of personality to your leader. A lot of people will just struggle with this, and sometimes this will be a permanent barrier to the in-group because people don't like putting on a face, faking their personality to be someone they're not, just for the sake of climbing the ladder. And as far as the out-group goes, characteristics of the out-group, limited information, like I was saying earlier. The in-group is going to get more information, the out-group is going to get less. And I think something that's important to note is that members not necessarily need more direction than members of the in-group. However, members will be seen by their supervisor or superior as needing more direction because they'll see them as less competent. Therefore, they'll be more of a burden whenever the leader comes around to check up on how everyone's doing, or if someone asks for help, it'll be more of like well, I guess I can help you out. I've got a minute. They'll receive less support, and they'll be trusted far less than members of the in-group. So risky decisions might be discouraged by members of the out-group or have stronger repercussions, whereas members of the in-group might be, lauded for innovation and thinking outside the box. And that is the leader-member exchange theory.